morning, good afternoon, right now. And good evening to all of you. And welcome to the series of Authenticity and Inclusivity, where we're doing a new 10 weeks of series based on personality traits and saboteur. So this is our third week. And thank you for joining us wherever you are from the world, whether you're watching us live or in recording. And if you are joining us live, I appreciate if you could just say hi in the chat or thumbs up or something like that. Because we really can't see you. So if you could give a little bit of introduction, any question you might have, and we'll come back shortly on your questions. And welcome again. I'm Aries, your host for today. And I have Lucie with me. Lucie is an EQ and leadership coach for My Victory. And of course, we're going to start talking about the saboteur based on the concept on positive intelligence. And today we're talking about controller, aren't we?
Controller it is, yes.
Give me a minute. Let me share my screen, okay?
And I wonder, Aries, if for those who haven't seen any our previous talks, by the way, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I wonder if we should just very briefly say who are the saboteurs. Would you like to do the honors on
the saboteurs? Yes. I think in the first week, we have a quick introduction to the 9 accomplished saboteurs and the main one, which is the judge. Should I give a quick screenshot?
Just what is the saboteur? Who is the saboteur? What is it basically in our mind?
In this concept of the saboteur, the original saboteur start, as we would explain, as a guardians that actually to help us to kind of survive the real and imagined traits to our emotional or even physical as a child. And of course, as the time went by, we do grow up and we probably don't really need them anymore, but they have become very much part of us, not physically, but mentally in our mind. So the saboteur is really a pattern of our thinking, our feelings, and our reacting. And it becomes soft-coded in our brain through, we call it the neural pathway. So this neural pathway get triggered, or we say we are hijacked by our saboteur. It's how we instantly feel and think and act using their patterns. So the 9 saboteur will be the avoider, the controller, hyperachiever, and then hyper-rational, stickler, pleaser, hypervigilance, victim. Yeah, I think 9, right?
Yeah, I think I got them. Yeah. Thank you for summarizing it. And today we are dealing with the controller, and I wonder if we could also say, why is this beneficial to know about the saboteurs, and for ourselves, for our relationships, well-being, performance? What kind of benefit it makes to actually listen to us talk about this? We are just not talking to talk.
That's actually a brilliant point that you bring out. First of all, why do we want to know? I think, as what I mentioned earlier, whichever of that saboteur that we are talking about is kind of a pattern of thinking, feeling, and reacting. And bringing back to the, this whole theme of authenticity and inclusivity. Authenticity about just being genuine about who we are, our innate personality. And that means that we all have our own kind of traits and behavior. And inclusivity is really about being differentiated, about accepting another and being among that with the others. So I thought, what a better place to kind of come here to kind of talk about it, to understand what do I mean by authenticity, especially we are a unique individual. What does personality traits come in? What about this so-called our pattern of thinking, feelings, and reacting kind of all emerge together with your authenticity and your inclusivity with people that are not like you or like me. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from the positive kind of both positive intelligence and emotional intelligence lens, it kind of provides us with more self-awareness. So we know when we are being authentic ourselves and when we are being hijacked, let's say, by our saboteurs. So we are not authentic. We are not the best versions of ourselves. And also gives us understanding of the others and their personalities and their possibly saboteurs that hijack them. So the others cannot be their best versions of themselves. And kind of not being inclusive then when we are hijacked.
You know what, while you are talking of thoughts come to mind. I have been, a couple of conversation come to my mind is about this whole self-awareness thing. I mean, I've been doing a lot of posts and blogs on and off about self-awareness, and even asking about what's so important about knowing. And there's a lot of aspect to knowing yourself. What we are touching on is one aspect. There's a lot beyond, like knowing your strength. What does the strength mean? That's one aspect, right? Knowing your personality traits. Again, what does that mean? When you know your personality traits, that means your own behavior. What is your inclination? How you communicate with other people? Why is that important? Because we, like I say, we all have our own style, and when the more awareness we have, I kind of like to say it's kind of power that we have when we know we can decide how we want to be, rather than, have you heard about this term called unconsciously incompetence? So we can only improve and be better when we are consciously incompetent. That means you know where your strength and weakness is. Only when we become conscious, then we become competent. But the trick is, this cycle never stops. When you become conscious competent, you will also move towards unconsciously competence, and then you start again because there's something else, and it's always revolving. The only way and the only time it stops revolving is, I'm sorry to say, that means we are dead. Because that's how we are as a human being. We're always developing, we're always growing, and we are always learning. And of course, we can block it out and say, I don't want to learn anymore. I'm just too good. And that means you will move into the unconscious. Whether the competent or not competent, I'll decide for you to decide for yourself.
So I would say anybody who is listening and watching us, kudos to you for actually wanting to learn something new. So thank you. And I acknowledge you for learning. So an invitation for today, notice maybe, is there a controller messing with me, with my performance, relationships, well-being, or with some other people in my life? And notice, as we are describing the controller and how it manifests, the tendency of thinking, feeling, and behaving in different personality styles. And notice, can you recognize yourself in any of these in different situations, or some people in your environment? Shall we start?
Yeah.
Anything you would like to add?
I just actually have another thought. I'm sorry.
All good. Thoughts are great. Bring them on. That's why we are here.
Thanks for your questions. No, the thing is, I have a couple of clients in the process of working with them. Not just one, quite a few, they're saying that what they want to continue developing after a couple of months working, I don't know how long, I think nearly 4 to 6 months now. And they say they want to work on authenticity. So that's what kind of come to mind, that you see, you can only be your authentic self when you have the awareness and the willingness and the courage. But the thing is, what we're trying to say is all this so-called the saboteur will make it very difficult to be your core self, because it's about wanting to conform to the world, because the world saying, you need to be this. So I'm going to jump into the controller, the behavior. I think maybe we just skip the pictures. I'm just going to explain the controller a bit, and then we kind of come back and say why that is the case. You see, last week we talked about avoider, and then this week's controller. So controller is about basically activity-based need to take charge and control situation and even people action, okay, to his own will. So if people don't if the situation and other people don't kind of follow your control, you will have high anxiety and impatience. Yeah. So you see, all of us need some form of control. Well, we cannot, everything is so, don't know what's happening. We all need some form of control.
Yeah.
But when we say this controller, means that literally they need to be in control. When they're not in control, they've literally freaked out.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, if we take a step back, it's like this authenticity and control before we go to the personality, yeah, is why why all of us, okay, have a need for control. And of course, there's people who have a little bit, well, I won't say intensity of that control. So we all have different intensity. So
True.
why all of us have a need of control, and why that actually block us from being our authentic self?
I would say maybe, yes to the need for control. I would say the need for control comes from the need for safety, to feel safe. It could go also for the need for significance, for some people, not for everybody. If I can control everything, that means I'm important. Or if I can control something, that means I can kind of keep my environment safe. I can make sure that I get done what I need to get done. I make sure that I'm with people, that people are doing what they're supposed to do. And when it's based on the strength, just like each saboteur is using our strengths and abusing them. So it's based on a good core strength, for example, of making change, of confidence. But when it's taken too far, then it can turn into a sabotage, actually. So I believe when it could be authentically that somebody is kind of likes to take charge and is being confident. So that could be their authentic self, in my opinion. And then when it's taken too far, then it actually stops them from being really authentic. What are your thoughts on that?
I have quite an opposite perspective from what you're saying.
Very cool.
I agree with the 2 points, the fear, coming from the fear to need to control. And maybe there was this kind of significant, by being in charge, there is this sense of significance. So when talking about fear, so why the fear drive the need to be in control? And when you drive the need in control, they become inauthentic, not authentic self. Because when you are, when I put the definition for authenticity, I say when you are being in your authentic self, there is a spontaneousness, there's this curiosity. So when you have fear, I think the fear actually is very real, real as in it happens inside us in our brain.
Yeah.
And when the fear trigger, we cannot really open up and be curious and learn. It just being blocked. So when you are in the authentic self, you really open up. But when that fear is controlling, say, I need to be this, I need to be this, I should be this, I should be this. Then our question is, where is that authentic person? If you are in that authentic self, then I would say there's no fear, because you are just being you, just like a child. It's like, I have a question. Can you ask a question, please? Even though the question may be very silly and stupid, but this person won't think about it. So I really don't know. I just have a question. Can you just answer me? I don't know. Just tell me. Come from that curiosity and humble, and they just want to know, and really spontaneous. So there's no fear in them. So the fear is grabbing the controller and I should be. And once that come in, then the authenticity will not be there. So I think that's a fear part that I'm seeing the link.
I completely can align with that one. I think there's the key distinction. So the strength, I would say, is of the controller, or the strength that the controller hijacks and takes it too far, and uses fear to take it too far, is, let's say, kind of challenging self and others, like the growth, maybe taking action, passion for taking action, could be seeing possibilities and actually going for them, kind of having the courage. So there could be the courage when these qualities are in person, when there's not fear, but kind of love, curiosity, excitement. that could be authentic self, versus when they actually have the fear and they control out of fear, that's when they are not really authentic self, because they're being hijacked by their primitive part of the brain, or the survival part of the brain, where the saboteurs unfortunately live. What would you add? What would you say? Are we kind of aligned there? Maybe not.
I was just saying, I just saw Jerry noticing, great point. Which point is that about the controller and authenticity? I'm guessing that. So I can't hear you, Jerry, but I can see your point. So just put it in the comment. I appreciate that. So I was a little bit went off, but we did agree that when we are halfway through, which is 15 minutes past the hour, we'll kind of pause and kind of check whether there's any comments, to see that whether there's any question from anyone about what we just shared. And one thing I like what Lucie you've done is always asking the question is, you know, that where does that controller is coming from, and how that, I mean, my question is how that block the authenticity. So I think that's where we're talking about the whole of fear, and how the fear interfere that spontaneous of that person, the authenticity being spontaneous. When you're not authentic, you kind of there is a lot of I need to, I should, a lot of that they call it false self. I like to quote Winnie quote about what
false self.
Yeah. So I can't remember everything that you say. I know you're looking, so I think there's no more comments. So maybe we should jump back to
Doesn't look like there's any more comments.
Yeah.
I think I'm not gonna type right now.
Yeah.
Let's probably not.
And any questions anybody just put down, we'll reply to this after when we finish.
We'll look at it later. Yes, so we can be present.
I'm just thinking that maybe we should bring in the 4 different aspects of that this personality profile. How does that kind of which one is more obvious or align or tie in with a controller, or maybe all of them in a subtle way? I'm just, as I was saying this, right, I actually think about the D, the dominance, the ego is definitely a very strong controller.
They like to dominate.
Yeah, because the D stand for dominating, and I think dominating and controller sound pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah. There might be the most probably prone to hijacking. So if you are a leader or somebody who likes to dominate and takes charge, and you have lots of confidence, maybe listen here. There might be something for you to find out, to actually improve, because one of the symptoms of being hijacked could be damaged relationships with others. People might be intimidated. So in the workplace, it could create intimidation, people not feeling safe, people not being open, not sharing their opinions freely. So maybe for you, it may be they're not creative. They are not bringing their own ideas. I need to tell them everything. But that could be the saboteur actually hijacking the productivity and collaboration in that situation. Sounds like you're nodding your head. So sounds like we are in agreement here.
I love the, I mean, when I was just talking to, I can literally kind of linked up this D, the dominance personality traits with the controller. Of course, controller have a bigger traits. It's like they need to control the situation plus the people, right? The D, the dominance here is about being a driver, about wanting to get things done, and it's about, so in that sense, it looks, the traits they have would definitely show a controller traits. I think a lot more than the others, because the others are not like, oh, I need to get this done, but it's less of the controlling. So the D, I think in terms of behavior wise, is a lot more obvious compared to the I and the S and the C. I think D is probably the most obvious, because they are so-called traits is about driving things forward. I need to get things done. It's a driver, right? So which is why you see that it has a D mark as in dominating.
And these are wonderful qualities for a leader to get things done for anybody. Yeah, just when taking too far by the saboteur.
Yeah,
that's when the problems happen.
When you are in that mode of driving things, have you thought about the other aspect of that work? What about people? People is the one that eventually drive the work. So if your focus is just on work and performance, and you kind of like, sorry, I'm going to say this, kind of like a taskmaster, kind of like taking a whip and make sure you whip them and make sure to get things done.
Ouch.
People, I'm sure, will follow you and get things done, but people being whipped won't be too happy about that. So I'm not saying they are bad or anything. I'm just saying that because there is a very strong need to kind of push things forward, focusing on the work and the task and the performance and the drive. This other part of the people kind of been a little bit neglected, and it might have the effect, like I say, it's so much on work, on tasks, and what about the people? It's kind of, how do you balance up? Like the controller, you're coming in from the strength, right? The controller is wanting to get things done in that kind of right way, but when they take it too far, the reflection is back on themselves. They freaked out when things are not doing well. They high anxiety.
So there's cost for themselves, the high anxiety, the impatience, the stress levels, and there's also cost for others that could be feeling intimidated, not feeling safe, feeling maybe threatened, resentful. So that damages the relationships, and also it damages performance and creativity on that team, because people might not be willing to share their ideas and be proactive.
So that is on effect on other people, but I think there's a really big effect on the self as well. When I think in terms of themselves is really the high anxiety they have, because when they find that actually I can't control the situation, I can't control the people.
There's actually lots of things we cannot control in our lives, both personal and professional.
That's a good one. Well, there's a lot of things. Well, most things in life we can't control.
Exactly.
The joke is we all try to control a lot of things in our life.
And so we are stressed out because we cannot. And that might be for another conversation, how to deal with that one. I'm looking at the time.
You know, time, we'd better jump to the I. So the D is the dominance and very driven, very task-orientated person. So in terms of with controller, I think it's very kind of similar traits mark. The I is more towards influencing, which is about people, very people-centric. It's like cheerleader. Things like that.
I love the sorry. I just wanted to add, for people who don't know the letters, I love the taking flight methodology with the birds. So there's the parrot for that I personality, very, talkative, energizing, loves to have fun. So, and any people that love to tell stories and love to be very talkative, energetic, that might be a parrot personality style.
So it's kind of very charismatic kind of persons. So people kind of like, oh, it's so interesting to listen to this person. So they kind of inverted comma control, not in a way that you have to do this. It's like they don't need to say you have to do this. They just say whatever they have, you will just follow what they do. So they kind of control you. And it's also I find that as I'm talking through, right, there is that controller as well, but in a very subtle way, very, very subtle, as in like, if people don't follow me, then they will be extremely upset with themselves. It's like, I need to control, but their need is less on the situation. Their need to control is more on the people, not to like treating them as puppet, but it's like, you have to follow what I do. And people is not like cheering on. So I is about a strong need for kind of acceptance. When people are not following her lead or his lead or their lead, they get very upset about that. So it's kind of a subtle little need for control, not like a D, which is very obvious.
So it's more of also what comes up for me, like the D or the eagle could be more direct, versus the parrot or the I is more indirect kind of way of control. It could be bringing the attention by being talkative, taking over the conversation. So the other person actually can hardly say anything.
I think a little bit of that traits would be there as well. Of course, for everyone, the difference is there is an intensity level. So you can both be having the I traits, but you must understand it will not be as identical because there is number one intensity. And very rare any one of us is a pure D, I, S, or C. There's always a mixture. Just like a cup of coffee. You can have your coffee black, strong. Well, or I can have black coffee, but weak. Well, I can have white coffee, but I like milky coffee, no sugar. I was like, no. I like milk coffee, but I need it with sugar. And I want 1 sugar, and he wants 3 sugar. So there's lots of variety, even though we are all having
coffee. So even though we have personality, there's different varieties, different tastes of us. Yay to that.
So I'm going to jump to the S now. S is kind of steadiness, is also very people-centric, but is a very supportive person. Is very mindful of people around them and just want to be like it's more passive, more introvert passive, and it's more about people wanting to be a good supporter. So I not sure how much of the controller I see with an S personality.
You know, it could be by doing too much for people. Let's say if that's a parent, like kind of doing everything for the child, so the child is very safe, right? But actually that is not empowering the child, can actually be disempowering.
Yeah, of course. But
so that could be hijacked by a controller possibly in there, of like being the fear, if I don't control, if I don't do that for the child is not gonna do it for themselves. I need to help them. So they are not feeling uncomfortable. So kind of controlling how other people feel possibly.
My thoughts around controller is more generally more outward, active, direct. That's how I see a controller. So this is pretty easy to see in a sense. They have the D and the I, which is more active and more extrovert, where it's more, you can see it very clearly, which you can kind of easily relate to a controller. But the S and the C are more passive people. So I find it's less controlling. It's not, I mean, I'm saying that we will all have as a controller, but they probably will be lower on their list in terms of their need to control people, their need to control situation, because they don't need people to follow me. It's about their need to kind of please people. That is for the S. C is a need for detail, which may be kind of close to a stickler. So, I mean, I'm just generalizing a little bit, but you see a lot of more that coming up. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think it could be also more indirect. So more maybe passive aggressiveness could be associated with like the, so they are not directly controlling, but they might be controlling, let's say with the S. So in the taking flight methodology, it's the dove, the peaceful dove, supportive dove. Let's say if that person is doing too much for others and they comes back, well, you don't want to do this for me, but I've done so much for you. Kind of willing, maybe that could be a form of control, how to make other people do things for them as well, kind of guilting them into it possibly. I wonder if that's part of how controller could manifest in a supportive person, kind of guilt tripping others. Well, I've done so much for you. You should do this for me. Kind of indirect, kind of sneaky way of control, possibly.
Control definition is all about the anxiety when they cannot be in control of situation or people. I think that's where the controller is. So as personality traits, their behavior is more about how they can be supportive of people. Can we kind of bring that into they are trying to control by being nice to people? I see very little connection. That's my view. I will see that more towards pleaser. I think S have a lot of pleaser in them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And of course, the core of it, of course, again, come from the fear, the motivation, of course, is all there about fear. And then when in terms of behavior, you see, we can all have the same motivation. The core is come from that fear or come from happiness, but how we behave can be quite different, right? So S could be behaving like I'm just being nice to people, not saying that you need to follow what I say. So controllers have a lot of like, you need to follow what I do. If you don't follow what I do, then, or I plan this, it do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is this schedule don't follow exactly what I planned? I just freaked out. So S is a little bit more subtle in the sense that, if I plan this, people don't do it. Is it so important? Rather, it's like, oh, will people be upset? I must make sure they are okay. So I link it more towards a pleaser rather than just a controller. That's my view.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I want to jump to the last one, C, quickly, because we are past the time.
Oh, yes.
So C is compliance, and the trademark of the C is really a very, very detailed analytical person and very task related. So they don't really want to get into a relationship with you. They just want to get the job done. But the way they get that job done is very different from a D, where they say, I need every single detail, as much detail as possible, until you're like, can you just stop? I guess I also see a little bit of the controller in there. So to them, the way to control the situation is I need all the detail, so they feel safe. If they don't have the detail, they freak out.
Yes.
So in that sense, I think there is that controller there. That's how I see. Yeah.
It could be also connecting to with the hypervigilance, that they need to have as many details as possible.
Could be. Yeah.
To be safe, or to also to be control the environment, to control the outcome. In a way, they kind of can come together.
Yeah. But I think they are coming from, I need the details in order to succeed. That's where they're coming from. So I see that they all have a little bit of that controller in them. I think D is probably the most obvious in terms of behavior traits. Then C have a little bit with the way of like, I need details, no details, I can't work, my brain freezed out. And the I is like, oh, let's rah-rah on the people. But the S is really about, I just need to be nice to people. If I'm not nice to people, then what will happen? It just doesn't work for me. Anything else you want to say in 1 minute, and then we have to close because we are 4 minutes past the time?
Ooh, just thank you for anybody who joined, and let us know if you have any questions, any realizations that came up for you. Thank you, Aris, for hosting this. And next time, who are we focusing on next time?
So thank you for being with us today. Whether you're watching us live or recording, the next week I think we want to do hyperachiever.
That'll be fun.
So next week will be hyperachiever. So at the same time, we see you guys next week. Questions, please put on the chat. We will come back to them.
Awesome. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.